Chapter 11. Organizing the body of the speech. The speech structure is simple, composed of just three basic parts: an introduction, a body, and conclusion. The introduction establishes the purpose of the speech and shows its relevance to the audience. The body of the speech presents main points that are intended to fulfill the speech purpose. The conclusion brings closer to the speech by restating the purpose, summarizing the main points, and reiterating the speech thesis and its relevance to the audience. In a sense, the introduction of the speech tells listeners where they are going, the body takes them there, and the conclusion lets them know what the journey has ended. Chapter 14 describes how to create effective introductions and conclusions. Here, we focus on the elements of the speech body: main points, supporting points, and transitions. Use main points to make your claims. Main points express the key ideas of the speech. Their function is to represent each of the major ideas or claim being made in support of the speech thesis. To create main points, identify the most important ideas you want to convey. What major findings emerge from your research? Each of these ideas should be expressed as a main point. Restrict the number of main points. Research indicates that audiences are most comfortable taking in between 2 and 7 main points. For most speeches, and especially those delivered in a classroom, between 2 and 5 points should be sufficient. As a rule, the fewer the main points in a speech, the greater the odds you will maintain your listener's attention. If you have too many main points, further narrow down your topic, or check the points for proper subordination. Restrict each main point to a single idea. A main point should not introduce more than one idea. If it does, split it into 2 or more main points. Here's an incorrect example. West Texas has its own Grand Canyon, and South Texas has its own desert. A correct example would be the first main point being West Texas boasts its own Grand Canyon, and the second main point being South Texas boasts its own desert. Quick tip: save the best for last or first. Listeners have the best recall of speech points made at the end of the speech, a phenomenon called a recency effect, and at the beginning of the speech, the primacy effect, than of those made in between, unless the ideas made in between are much more striking than the others. If it is especially important that the listeners remember certain ideas, introduce those ideas during the beginning of the speech and reiterate them in the conclusion. Main points should be mutually exclusive of one another. If they are not, consider whether a main point more properly serves as a subpoint. Express each main point as a declarative sentence, one that asserts or claims something. For example, if one of your main points is that children need more vitamin D, clearly state, according to American Academy of Pediatrics, children from infants to teens should consume more vitamin D. In addition, cite your main points and supporting points in parallel form. That is, in similar grammatical and style. Phrasing points in parallel form helps listeners follow your ideas more easily while lending a rhythmic elegance to your words. Use the purpose and thesis statements as guides. Main points should follow directly from your specific purpose in these statements, as in the following example. Here's a specific purpose: to show my audience through a series of easy steps how to mediate. Definition: what you want the audience to learn or do as a result of your speech. Here's the thesis, or the central idea of the speech. When performed correctly using just 3 steps, meditation is an effective and easy way to reduce stress. Here are the main points. Main point 1. The first step of meditation is the positioning. Main point 2. The second step of meditation is breathing. Main point 3. The third step of meditation is relaxation. Use supporting points to demonstrate your claims. Supporting points organize the evidence you have gathered to explain in an informative speech or justify in a persuasive speech the main points. Generate these points with the supporting material you collected in your research: examples, narratives, testimony, facts, statistics. In an outline, Supporting points appear in subordinate position to main points. This is indicated by indentation. Arrange supporting points in order of their importance or relevance to the main point. Here's a checklist reviewing main and supporting. Do the main points follow directly from the speech goal and thesis? Do the main points express the key ideas of the speech? Is each main point truly a main point or subpoint of another main point? Is each main point subordinated by at least two supporting points or none? Do you spend roughly the same amount of time on each main point? Are the supporting points truly subordinate to the main points? Does each main point and supporting point focus on a single idea? Are the main and supporting points stated in a parallel form? Pay close attention to coordination and subordination. Outlines reflect the principles of coordination and subordination, the logical placement of ideas relative to their importance of one another. Ideas that are coordinate also are given equal weight. Coordinate points are indicated by their parallel alignment. An idea that is subordinate to another is given relatively less weight. Subordinate points are indicated by their indentation below the more important points. The most common format for outlining points is the Roman numeral outline. Main points are enumerated with uppercase Roman numerals, while supporting points are enumerated in capital letters, Arabic numerals, and lowercase letters, as seen in the following example below. From a speech about using effective subject lines in business-related emails. Arabic numeral 1. Roman numeral 1. Subject line, most important yet neglected part of an email. Roman letter A. Determines if recipient reads message. Arabic number 1. Needs to specify points of message. Arabic number 2. Need to distinguish from spam. Roman letter B. Determines if recipient ignores message. Arabic number 1. May ignore emails with missing subject line. Arabic number 2. May ignore email with unclear subject line. Roman numeral 2. Use proven techniques for effective subject lines. Roman letter A. Make them informative. Arabic number 1. Give specific details. Arabic number 2. Match central idea of the email. Arabic number 3. Be current. Roman letter B. Check for sense. Arabic number 1. Convey correct meaning. Arabic number 2. Reflects content of the message. Roman letter C. Avoid continuing subject line in text. Arabic number 1. May annoy the reader. Arabic number 2. May be unclear. With lowercase Roman letters. A. Could be confused with spam. With lowercase letter B. Could be misinterpreted. Principles of coordination and subordination. Assign equal weight to ideas that are coordinate. Assign relatively less weight to ideas that are subordinate. Indicate coordinate points by their parallel alignment. Indicate subordinate points by their indentation below the more important points. Every point must be supported by at least 2 points, or none at all. Consider how to address one's dangling point by including it in the point above it. Quick tip. Spend time organizing speech points. Don't skimp on organizing speech points. Listeners' understanding of information is directly linked to how well it is organized, and they will quickly lose interest when their speech is disorganized. Listeners who also find speakers whose speeches are well organized more believable than those who present poorly organized ones. Strive for unified, coherent, and balanced organization. A well-organized speech is characterized by unity, coherence, and balance. Try to adhere to these principles as you arrange your speech points. A speech exhibits unity when it contains only those points implied by the specific purpose and thesis statements. The thesis is supported by main points. Main points are strengthened by supporting points, and supporting points consist of carefully chosen evidence and examples. A speech exhibits coherence when it is organized clearly and logically, using the principles of coordination and subordination to align speech points in order of importance. In addition, the speech body should expand upon the introduction, and conclusion should summarize the body. Within the body of the speech itself, main points should support the thesis statement, and supporting points should enlarge upon the main points. Transitions serve as a mental bridge that help establish coherence. Inexperienced speakers may give overly lengthy coverage to one point and insufficient attention to others, or they might provide scanty evidence in the speech body after presenting an impressive introduction. The principle of balance suggests that appropriate emphasis or weight be given to each part of the speech relative to the other parts and to the theme. The body of the speech should always be the longest part, and the introduction and conclusion should be roughly the same length. Stating the main points in parallel form is one aspect of balance. Assigning each main point at least 2 supporting points is another. If you have only one subpoint, consider how you might incorporate it into a superior point. Think of a main point as a body and supporting points as legs. Without at least 2 legs, the body can't stand. Use transitions to give direction to the speech. Transitions are words, phrases, or sentences that tie the speech ideas together and enable the listener to follow the speaker as he or she moves from one point to the next. Transitions, also known as connectives, are truly critical components of speech because listeners cannot go back and reread what they might have missed. As you develop your speech, focus on creating transitions to shift listeners from one point to the next and signal the audience that a new point will be made. Transitions can take the form of full sentences, phrases, or single words. Use transitions between speech points. Use transitions to move between speech points from one main point to the next, and from one subpoint to another. Moving from one main point to another, full sentence transitions are especially effective. For example, to move from main point 1 in a speech about sales contests, top management should sponsor sales contests to halt the decline in sales over the past 2 years, as an example. To main point 2, sales contests will lead to better sales presentations, as another example. The speaker might use the next following transition. Next, let's look exactly what sales contests can do for us. Transitions between supporting points can be handled using single words, phrases, or full sentences, as in the following. First one, next. Second one, first, with parentheses, second, third, or fourth. The next one, similarly. We now turn. If you think that's shocking, consider this. Transitions can also serve the dual function of signaling shifts between speech points and indicating relationships between ideas, as seen in the table of page 88, which is the next 3 pages. Use internal preview and summaries as transitions. Previews briefly introduce audience members to the ideas that speakers will address. In speech introduction, the preview statement briefly mentions the main point and the thesis of the speech. Within the body itself, speakers use internal preview to signal a shift from one main point or idea to another. An example is Victoria Woodhull was a pioneer in many respects. Not only was she the first woman to run her own brokerage firm, she was also the first to run for the presidency of the United States. Though few people know about this, let's see how she accomplished these feats. From point to point, using transitions to guide your listeners. Transitions direct your listeners from one point to another in your speech. leading them forward along a logical path while reinforcing key ideas along the way. Plan on using transitions to move between 1. The introduction and the body of the speech. 2. The main points. 3. The subpoints and whenever is appropriate. 4. The body of the speech and the conclusion. Here's an example. An introduction. Today I will explore the steps you can take to create a greener campus. Here's a transition. So how will you go green? Body. Here's the first one. Get informed. Understand that it is physically happening to your planet. Transition. Understanding the issues is only part of going on. However, perhaps most important. B. Recognize that change starts here on campus with you. While transitions help guide your listeners from point to point, they can also do a lot more, including introduce main points, illustrate cause and effect, signal explanations and examples, emphasize, repeat, compare, or contrast ideas, summarize and preview information, suggest conclusions from evidence. Following is an excerpt from a working outline on a speech about campus going green. Now, how student edits himself to ensure that 1. Uses transitions to help speakers follow along and retain his speech points, and 2. Uses transitions strategically to achieve his goal of persuading the audience. Transition. Why are environmentalists targeting college campuses? Roman numeral 1. College campuses generate the waste equivalent of many large towns. Here's the transition. As a result, A. College face disposal issues, especially of electronics. B. Administrators face decisions about mounting energy costs. Here's the next transition. Following are some ideas to create a greener campus. First, 1. Promote a campus-wide recycling program. Transition, for example. A. Decrease the availability of bottled water and disposable. B. Insist on recycling bins at all resident halls. C. Encourage computer centers to recycle. Transition. Recycling is a critical part of going green. Decreasing the consumption of plastic and paper, installing recycling bins, and responsibly disposing of print cartridges will make a huge difference. Another aspect of going green is using sustainable energy. 2. Lobby administrators to investigate solar, wind, and geothermal. A. Make an argument for eco-dorms. B. Explore alternative heating. Transition. So far we've talked about the practical actions we can take to encourage a greener lifestyle on campus. What about beyond the campus? 3. Get involved at the town government level. A. Town government communities. B. Speak up and voice your concerns. Transition. As you can see, we have work to do. Conclusion. 1. If we want our children and our children's children to see a healthy earth, we must take action now. Use transitional words and phrases to show comparisons, similarly, in the same way, likewise, just as. To contrast ideas, on the other hand, and yet, at the same time, in spite of, however, in contrast. To illustrate cause and effect, as a result, hence, because, thus, consequently. To illustrate sequence of time or events, first, second, third, following this, later, early, at present, in the past. To indicate explanation, for example, to illustrate, in other words, to simplify, to clarify. To indicate additional examples, not only, in addition to, let's look at. To emphasize significance, most important, above all, remember, keep in mind. To summarize, in conclusion, in summary, finally, let me conclude by saying, similar to the internal preview, The internal summary draws together important ideas before the speaker proceeds to another speech point. Often the speaker will transition from one major idea or main point to the next by using an internal summary and internal preview together. Here's an example. We've seen that mountain bikes differ from road bikes in the design of the tires, the seats, the gears, the suspension systems, and handlebars. Internal summary. Now let's take a look at the different types of mountain bikes themselves. As you will see, mountain bikes vary according to the type of riding they're designed to handle: downhill, trails, and cross country. Let's begin with cross country. Internal preview.